Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Pokemon Champions. Thank you for the love on the last episode. Now we are using a different team. Now we're featuring Gourgeist. We swapped that out. I do like Meowscarada. I am going to be using a lot of different Pokemon and recruiting a lot of different Pokemon for different uses, as you're going to see. However, this time we're going to be delving into a future team idea. I don't know if we'll cover it in this video, but we're going to get to it a lot sooner than you think. Now, looking over on my opponent's side, you've got Memento Shenanigans into Swords Dance Charizard and Belly Drum Azumarill. Gengar is amazing, and Drampa's just kind of there. Steelix setting up some hazards. It's going to go with Gyarados, Talonflame, and Gourgeist. Let's get into it. As a disclaimer, my Pokemon are using non-competitive moves in the way of like recruitment, so whatever recruitment gives me for both my opponent and me, for the most part, I'll definitely be using recruited moves. The reason is I want to see how good the free-to-play value of Pokemon Champions is without having to spend money on it. Believe me, at some point I am going to invest into that, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways, I'm going to go out into Gyarados here, and the reason being, I am thinking this thing has either Fire Blast or Ice Beam. Both of the two I can take really well, and he goes for a Dragon Claw. So, the fact this has Dragon Claw and Facade, definitely my opponent, at least in this case scenario, is using those type of movesets as well. But don't worry, you guys saw the thumbnail, and believe me, the flood is going to get started, even sooner than you think. But we're going to have a little bit of drought of dryness for just a little bit. But don't worry, you guys will get soaked. Don't worry about that. Hope you guys brought an umbrella. Anyways, the Facade doesn't do any damage, and I'm sitting pretty well right here, because my logic was, okay, if he cannot hit Gourgeist very well, other than a Dragon Claw, I have free Leech Seed Fodder, but also, I could just lock myself into Outrage, or I could just do damage with Iron Tail. Iron Tail does really good damage, it's like a 3-hit KO from this range. Can also just lock myself into Outrage if I'd like to go that direction. That is a perfectly viable option, should I choose to do so. My logic actually tells me now that, like I said, if this thing can't hurt me, I debated back and forth going to Gourgeist. And finally, I just decided to go for a soft Waterfall, just to see how well stab damage does. It does about the same as Iron Tail. Looking from this range, I think I can knock him out with another one. However, unfortunately, because Drampa is a Dragon type, also, I'm just over getting sick. I drive a lot on my electric bike, so the temperature outside and the different humidities and such really affect like my throat and nasaliness and such. Now, Dragon Pulse actually does a significant portion of damage because we are mostly defensive HP invested, so that does a lot more damage. But Waterfall definitely from this range takes it out, and down goes Drampa without too much of a fuss. After Leftovers recovery, we're still sitting at about half, and that is really nice. So, next Pokemon to come out. I do hope that in the next couple of updates, we do get the higher FPS. That will be really cool. I do appreciate that it's on Switch too, so it does look super good. Anyway, Whimsicott comes in here. In comes Dazzling Gleam here. We look like we could take another one of those. However, we're just going to go for an Iron Tail here, and Whimsicott goes down. Gyarados still has that really high physical attack, and Whimsicott's defenses, well, they're not really there. I mean, Bold and Calm, Whimsicott respectively with Prankster are used. However, in this case scenario, they just go down without a fight. In comes Azumarill, and my logic is Iron Tail's probably a 3-hit KO, and the thing is I want to bring this thing as close to range as I can for Gourgeist, and also keeping my HP high enough to go for a Brave Bird. I really wanted to go into something else. I'm glad I didn't swap because of the Aqua Jet incoming. Thinking the Belly Drum, and then I could just go ahead and go for a Brave Bird and out-prioritize it with Gale Wings, and that's my logic here. Like, if he takes me down with anything, he goes for Fake Tears. Once again, this tells me a rental Azumarill is being used, so sorry about that, guys. But, like, a lot of people, at least for myself, have been talking about my channel and saying that I don't really do anything that is not competitive, like I don't do playthroughs. So I'm currently in the process of uploading, rendering, and making all of the playthroughs for the different games to go alongside this, and I still think it's really well timed. just because we only have 186 Pokemon in Champions. So that's something to really kind of keep in mind. I can't even use my mascot, which is crazy. So Aqua Jet comes through, it doesn't do much damage at all, and we're going to go ahead and get into game 2 as this Waterfall clears the way, and no threats. But believe me, I hope you guys have brought your rain poncho, because we're about to endure a very massive flood. I'll see you guys in just a minute. Alright, now let's talk about the beginning of this flood. This is a solid rain team. Now, on the face of it, I'm thinking I've got a couple of Pokemon that can really help me out here. Starmie is also potentially a Mega. Greninja is terrifying for my team. It demolishes Kleavor, Gourgeist, Dragonite without multiscale, Talonflame, and Ape for the most part. So I don't know if Ape outspeeds Greninja naturally because IVs were removed from the game. Primarina, I haven't seen a Liquid Voice Primarina yet, but that's also terrifying. Starmie could be Mega. Basculegion is terrifying under the rain with Last Respects. Empoleon could just be doing some special attacks. Agility Pitaya is a thing in my nightmares. And then, of course, Pelipper could be fully offensive or defensive. I really like Modest Pelipper in the rain. Great, great Pokemon. So, let's get into it. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here we go. Time for the torrential downpour that is on the thumbnail, or at least part of it. In comes Greninja. I go with Kleavor. My logic here says that I don't know if I can live an attack from this thing. Hydro Pump will probably eviscerate my face. But I do just want to go for pretty much whatever. I also could just go to Gourgeist. I really just don't want to get Dark Pulsed on the Switch. Gyarados is okay. It's kind of a soft check because I am bulky Gyarados. And overall, I know I can do damage to Greninja. I also want to see if it's Protean and kind of see what it goes for. Both water moves I can take from both with Gyarados and Gourgeist respectively. Alright, the Intimidate doesn't do anything for me. He goes for a Flip Turn, so that does even less damage thanks to the Flip Turn. And I could have very easily gone into Gourgeist, so that works out well. Probably could have even taken one of those with Kleavor, since Kleavor's a rock type, so it naturally has higher defense than its special defense. What will the next Pokemon be? Wonder what he's going to go into to combat Basculegion. I'm glad to see this thing early, now that it's not bolstered by the rain. Last Respects is kind of soft. And believe me, ladies and gentlemen, you will see what I'm talking about in a minute. I was like, okay, why did this thing just outright go into this? I could just go for Waterfall or Outrage. I don't know what to go for. Basculegion tend to be really, really bulky. And we only get 20% off a soft Waterfall. And he goes for a Head Smash, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Gyarados being massively defensive, the one that I have, we do live that on 18 HP. And this brings Basculegion down low to 41%. Now, what I was thinking is, okay, I can probably live in Aqua Jet. There's no rain up bolstering said Aqua Jet, and I don't want to switch anything into this. I feel like Outrage is the play. I want to see how much damage we get off, but he makes the really beautifully preemptive idea to swap. That means Pelipper is definitely in the back so that he can set the rain up later and come in with Basculegion's Last Respects, and I respect him for that. Oh, he doesn't swap. Go for an Outrage. We bring it super low, 2%. That means Last Respects is still going to take us out from 26 health, even without any deaths on the board. Now, in my nightmares, in my dreams, and my hopes, I was hoping that there was no way that in the back Pelipper was there. Now, Stone Axe used to put up Stealth Rocks, or Splintered Stones, if you will. And my logic is if I could get the Splintered Stones up, that means Basculegion would go down. But unfortunately, Pokemon Champions has removed the Splintered Shard or Splintered Stone effect. That means I would need Stealth Rock in this particular scenario. And Stealth Rock would be perfect. And it's actually hilarious because I have a Rental Kleavor as well with Stealth Rocks. Just not this one. Go for a Night Slash, hoping that I will be able to get the jump on this thing. And get a crit too, so Basculegion would have gone down with that massive 2 HP. Hydro Pump is here, but if he is orbed or if he can switch moves, then that's going to be a problem. I think Brick Break is smart, but also Stone Axe just to get that stab damage and take him out from his range. However, Greninja's fast, and he has Water Shuriken. Oh, he goes for Water Shuriken. I might be able to live this. 1, 2. Okay, I live. Fantastic. Go for this big old Stone Axe. Greninja goes down. Beautiful. Don't think, I think he would have lived a Brick Break simply because we didn't have the same type of attack bonus. So, there's that. In comes the Pelipper, and in my logic, I was like, okay, if I get the jump on this thing with a Quick Claw, I knock this thing out with Stone Axe here and now. But Basculegion's still in the back, so Basculegion can win this regardless if Pelipper goes down. So, there goes Kleavor starting up, there goes Pelipper starting up the massive torrential rain that we have, keeping the field wet. And, you know, Gourgeist, if it had Shadow Sneak, and funny enough, I have another Gourgeist with Shadow Sneak. That's why it's hilarious. Because literally we could win this with, if Kleavor would have hit and then Shadow Sneak would have hit, we could have won. So that is unfortunate. We do get the Leech Seed off. However, Hurricane cannot miss in the rain. And this looks to be an offensive Pelipper. I'm defensive Gourgeist. And bye-bye Gourgeist. Sassy Pumpkin, I believe I am, with max HP. Alright, let's get into the final game and see if we get a break from this torrential downpour. Let's talk about Game 3. Melodic, Tyranitar, Feraligatr, Chandelure, Garchomp, and Gardevoir. There's a possibility of tracing with Gardevoir into Gyarados and getting a free Intimidate. Kleavor can actually lead really, really well. My logic here is to take out Tyranitar with a 4x super effective Brick Break. Also take out Chandelure. I'll be able to take a neutral hit from Chandelure. Maybe even make a Chandelure. That's why I thought about Gyarados, but then like in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, if Gardevoir has Trace, Gardevoir is going to be able to Trace Intimidate. I also kind of want Gyarados just for the fact of Feraligatr, because it has Outrage. I kind of want Dragonite, but then I'm looking at Garchomp and Melodic respectively, and both of those are going to be really difficult. Gourgeist can technically deal with Melodic really well, probably get enough HP back to deal with it, but it can't directly threaten it. What's really funny is that Shadow Sneak Gourgeist I was just telling you guys about also has Seed Bomb. So, I don't know if it's a case if I just need to recruit more Pokemon, or if I just need to get good. I'm not really sure which one it is. Alright, Kleavor is leading up against Tyranitar. He has that massive defense boost, and I was like, extremely effective. And we get the speed! But he has a Chople Berry. Oh, that makes me so sad. Okay, so he's going to miss a Stone Edge, though, so that's fantastic. I was like, okay. So if I preemptively switch and get an Intimidate, and then I double back to Gourgeist, then his Crunch is much weaker. But I'm going to go to Pumpkin first. I want to see if he goes for Stone Edge. Then if he switches his attack up, I can get Gyarados in for free as well. So that's kind of cool. He goes for Stone Edge, and Pumpkin takes it so well. About half, enough to trigger up our Citrus Berry. I forgot we had our Citrus Berry. And I kind of wish that we had the other Gourgeist with Shadow Sneak, because it would have won us several games. So, that's very unfortunate. We get the Will-O-Wisp off, ladies and gentlemen. So now we have a Burn Tyranitar that we can now Intimidate. That is sitting only at 55% health. And changes his attack to a Crunch. And we take that too with Pumpkin, which is fantastic. We could probably Leech Seed this thing. We could also probably, like, double out the Gyarados and start attacking it. That's also an option I was thinking of. I also kind of wanted Outrage just in case Feraligatr was in the back and started Dragon Dancing to Oblivion. I think both of those things were good. Also, I don't have anything for Dragon Dance Tyranitar, so if he was like a DD T-Char, which is actually my starter that I chose for Pokemon Champions, under the recruitment system, that would be a problem. So I'm just going to go for a Soft Waterfall here. I'm sure he's going to swap. I'm sure he doesn't want Tyranitar taking this. I'm sure Melodic is probably the swap in. But I'm really, really happy with how Tyranitar is looking right now as far as being at 43% health and burned. I've pretty much neutered this Tyranitar to all on High Oblivion. So I'm very, very, very good with this, ladies and gentlemen. Not a problem at all. It's crazy. I'm getting so much nostalgia from Sword and Shield's playthrough, and I don't even think I've had a good playthrough of Shield. But that's going to change this year. I'm going to have a playthrough of Shield along with my other playthroughs. By the way, guys, I feel like I don't say it enough, but if you're just joining late, I am using non-competitive sets, as in recruitment. I do have some teams that I'm battling that seem to have competitive teams. So it's kind of a mixed bag, just trying to enjoy the free-to-play for what it is. If that's something you're into, let me know in the comment section down below. Hit subscribe and like. Got more than daily Pokemon Champions content. Did a lot of recording the other day. Now I'm just trying to get all the audio together and get everything ready for production. Anyways, Melodic, we are trading off some blows here, and the Scalds are doing okay. We're evading burns, which is good. I really want to get Gourgeist in safely. That's really the problem. But the thing is, this Melodic is actually faster than my Gourgeist, and I didn't know this then. Well, that's probably actually not the case. Pumpkin is actually probably faster. But I unfortunately don't get a good opportunity to get the Pumpkin in, as from 28 HP, Scald is too powerful. This is an offensive Melodic instead of defensive, so that means unfortunately Pumpkin goes down. Pumpkin was my best way to mitigate Melodic with Leech Seed and Poltergeist, so that's very unfortunate. I kind of cashed in the loss right there, because I'm not even sure what he's got in the back, and Kleavor doesn't like Scald. Pretty much just have to go for Stone Axe and pray and see how well we do. But I don't even get that chance. Crit's super effective right off the bat. Kleavor doesn't even have a chance to drop his axe down in dominant fashion. Instead, he just slides out like that. I think that's a perfect position for him to be floating. That's really what I was going for in the thumbnail. However, I really couldn't get it. So I instead opted for him to jump out of the water into the crowd. And that's the idea that I came up with. So now, a special attack race with competitive. It doesn't matter what's in the back. Even if I get him down to almost nothing, Feraligatr can easily take me out. But you know what? That's not good enough for this person. Because the Scald doesn't burn me. And I guess to rub salt in the wound, just because the Scald doesn't burn. And also to mention, if I had Dragon Dance Gyarados, I could put this thing in the bag and finish it off. But I don't. So I guess things to recruit are an offensive Dragon Dance Gyarados, a better Gourgeist, and such. Let me know some Pokemon you hope to see me be able to recruit. I've got a full box as of right now. As of this recording, I have exactly 30 Pokemon. So I'm trying to make use of everything I have and just kind of do as much content for Pokemon Champions as I possibly can with what I have. Alright, so Leftovers Recovery into Gyarados, sitting at 57% right now. Scald coming in, evading those burns, but we're not taking that. Even with that competitive boost, it is way too much. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, I am just outraged by this Melodic, and I'm just going to go for it. And my opponent decides to recover a stall. So I'm going to use this for an update. Playing Pokemon Champions, recording a ton of Pokemon Champions. So I'm trying to do daily or almost daily content with Pokemon Champions alongside my recordings and playthroughs of all the different games. So everything just kind of ties together. Because I really just want to start earning things, guys. It's really important to me. I even recorded a 3-hour run-through of making my first team for Pokemon Champions. However, unfortunately, that recording got completely corrupted. I don't know what happened. So I don't have the footage. But I did do everything by hand, and I am enjoying it a lot. There was an original Pokemon that has not debuted since Sword and Shield, because I was looking at the available Pokemon in Pokemon Champions for my very first competitive match, and I wanted that to be against Corey or Necrostevo. Did you guys know Necrostevo and I have never met in the battle? We've never had the fulfillment of the Double Down or any other competitive battle through all of these years of Pokemon. 30 years later, still have not met him on the battlefield. Emma Run takes us down. Thank you guys for watching. Rate, comment, sub, and I'll see you sooner than you think.